everyone, welcome to the Breath Band. We're running a podcast here this week with some great business owners in Belfast, and we're going to be handing over to Henry McCrory to kick it off. And we hope you enjoy the show. If you have any questions during the show, you can drop them in the comments on Facebook. We will be monitoring them. You can pass your questions on to whoever you want, or you can just pass it on to the group, and we'll open up the discussion that way.
Fantastic, Connor. Thank you so much. I want to read a quote from Winston Churchill. The pessimist sees difficulty in every opportunity. The optimist sees opportunity in every difficulty. And there's no doubt about it, the minute we're living in some extreme, extraordinary times. And it's wonderful for us just to host these amazing businessmen who are fighting the fight of faith and trying to make sense of this COVID-19. And it's just good to hear where they're at, where they're going. Because the reality is this thing is going to pass it at some point, and we're all from different sectors of the business community in Northern Ireland. But I want to kick this off I want to give you an intro to each and every one of the business owners here. So we're going to start with Greg Quinn, and I'm going to go to right to Jamie Marsh. Greg, give us a couple of minutes of who you are, what you're doing, and how you're fighting this fight.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Greg Quinn. I'm the founder and director of a business called People HQ. We are a HR consultancy business based in Northern Ireland. My business serves all aspects of the employee lifecycle, and we brand our services around recruit, coach, develop, and consult. My client base ranges from retail to manufacturing to the FMCG sector to fintech to venture capitalist clients. Headcounts range from 3 people right up to over 10,000 people. But my ideal client has got a SME with headcount of less than 100. So helping all sorts of matters from HR to recruitment to coaching and development. How am I finding things currently? Obviously, a lot of my clients have had to let people go on furlough or redundancy, so I'm helping clients go through that journey. And more importantly, talking about what happens beyond the lockdown. How do we bring people back into the workplace? Do we need to bring people back into the workplace? How are they getting on with remote working, etc.? So lots of really interesting conversations going on at the minute. That's keeping everyone busy.
Brilliant, mate. Thank you.
Hi guys, I'm Jamie Marsh, Sales Director of Simplicity Group. There's 2 sides to our business. So we've a telematics side of the business, which is TomTom Telematics. And we have the rights for that for Ireland. It was recently bought over by Bridgestone. And we're seen as the voice of the telematics for Ireland for them. We actually also have our own vehicle CCTV product, which is called Mantis. You'll probably see it on the likes of trucks, cars, vehicles, and it's essentially it's camera footage on a vehicle to see real-time collisions and help businesses if they are in an accident to see what the cause of the accident was and help the business through that sort of process with the insurance companies, etc. Also, it's there to keep their drivers safe as well. So there's a safety part of the product. On the other side of the business, we are a telecoms company. We are a Gamma Platinum partner. Who are one of the largest telecoms companies in the UK. We've built up ourselves with Gamma over the last 7 years, and it's really been built on the service that we give our customers, etc. One of the products that we've been helping customers with through this time is our home working solution, which is called Agility. So with obviously customers and obviously with COVID-19, a lot of businesses have found themselves like we are now having to communicate on video conferencing software. So through the period, we actually give our customers 2 months free video conferencing and the phone system itself, just to help them obviously communicate with their customers, communicate with their staff, and really obviously I suppose look after their staff as well through the period so they can maintain some face-to-face contact. I suppose the challenges that we've seen, I suppose is, we look after a lot of healthcare, and right now we're obviously making sure that we can support the healthcare services by coming and doing new installations of phone systems, and even companies such as the company Classic Mineral Water that we look after, who distribute water into the south of Ireland, etc. And right now they sort of need us to make sure that we can and give them connectivity in terms of their data, in terms of their voice connectivity, etc. So that's really the sorts of stuff that we're doing at the minute, both with fleet and telecommunications.
Thank you very much, Jimmy. Brilliant. John Hinnon.
Don't forget to unmute yourself, John.
Yeah. Hi, my name is John Heenan. I'm the owner of a business called the Distribution Solution. We're basically a fulfillment company. We hold other people's goods, pick and pack and ship them, which basically frees the owners up to focus on growing their businesses, which is rather appropriate at this time.
Brilliant, John. Matthew Gillespie. Unmute yourself, Matthew.
Hello, everyone. Matt Gillespie here. I run an event, entertainment and sports training company, and we have an indoor center in Bangor called Thunder Park. So the sector that we work in, or that I work in, is leisure, and it's predominantly in and around action sports, which are non-traditional sports like skateboarding, scootering, BMX biking, and parkour. All the dangerous, super exciting stuff. Right now, the COVID-19 situation means a complete stop of business for us. All staff are furloughed. All income is at a standstill. And really, I'm taking this opportunity to sort of plan future moves, review what we have, increase or update our CRM, and really get our ducks in order to sort of hit the ground running whenever we're allowed to go back to work.
Fantastic, Matthew. Aaron Watson.
Hello, my name's Aaron Watson, and I am the director of Jam Media and also Northern Ireland's #1 voiceover. Jam Media provides on-hold telephone messaging service to a lot of businesses in Northern Ireland. So for when you ring into a business auto attendant, on-hold, closed messages, holiday messages, licensed music. We are still running, obviously, at a lower level at the minute with COVID-19. But as I didn't realize Jamie Marsh of Simplicity Group was going to be in this call today, but like Simplicity Group, we're providing services still to hospital services, GPs, even the likes of insurance companies, and various businesses like that are obviously very busy at this time. But yeah, we'll be glad to get out the other side and to sort of continue to bring new business on board. Basically, that's what we do. But it is tough out there. There's a lot of people that are struggling. But I think we just need to remain positive. I think one of the things I'm doing at the minute, just through this period, is do a lot of work for Friends of the Cancer Centre. And I've decided to shave my head. For those that are suffering with cancer, a lot of patients at the minute obviously can't have relatives or friends come to visit them. So what I'm doing is shaving my head, and that's going to provide 25 through sponsorship. That's going to provide 25 patients with 25 nurses with one-to-one care. So that's something that I'm just trying to find various things to do, trying to remain positive. And that's something that is helping towards that. So, yeah.
Fantastic, Aaron. Thank you so much. All the best with the
thank you
and the fundraising. Marty Gilchrist.
My name's Martin Gilchrist, and I'm here from Gilchrist & Co. Chartered Accountants. And what we do is we look after professional people who work for themselves and by themselves. So professional people in independent practice. That's barristers, QCs, people you might see on TV, doctors, dentists, candlestick makers, you know, a whole remit of people. But the primary thing they do is they work for themselves and by themselves, and we effectively work to provide them with everything that they need in their accountancy function. What I'm doing right now is making sure that in every single conversation we have with our clients, that the person who's in front of us knows that they are the most important person in our practice at that moment in time. And that's very important in this current time, because so many people are under so much pressure and they're relying on us to be properly up to date and informed about the support and the issues and the good stuff and the bad stuff that's coming down the line, so that they can have those proper conversations with us. Martin Gilchrist, Gilchrist and Co. Chartered Accountants. Thank you.
Brilliant job. Brian Barnett, welcome, mate. Good to see you.
How you doing, Henry? Thanks very much for the invite. My name is Brian Barrett. I own a company called the Barrett Group. So what we do is we do a lot of signage, shop fitting, vehicle fit outs. For the signage, we'd be very well known in estate agent line of business. So we would manufacture and erect a lot of estate agents throughout the country. We've probably 7 vans out fitting of them. So it's going to be taking a big hit. Shop fitting and joinery. It can be from household joinery to a complete shop fit. In the vehicle fit outs, you buy a new van. So we would ply line the van, roof racks, toolbars, and then the graphics. So we give a full package there. So I'm the same as the rest of us. We're all looking for other options. And I know that in parts of my business, I need to look at my machinery to see what other opportunities there is for us to grow. I know that sectors that we work on will grow back. But I would say for the next 6 months, I need to look outside the box, what my machines can do. At the minute, we're printing quite a bit of COVID-19 safety signs and distance signage. So we know we're doing a bit of that for TransLink and a couple of other guys. So we're starting to look at that and do a wee bit more. That's me.
Brilliant, Brian. Thank you so much. Chris, do you want to give a couple of minutes about you and I?
Here we are, yeah. Okay, so I'm Chris and I work alongside Henry, and for the last 25 years we've been doing media from all shapes and sizes, from billboards, TV ads, radio ads, print, websites, social media, everything. So we're a food service agency. We've been doing that for a long time, and I suppose nothing's really let up for us with the whole COVID-19, that more than ever people are reliant on being seen. So we're actually kind of still busy, and we're still doing what we're doing, albeit we can't do some of our video production. But other than that, that's who we are, that's what we've done, and we'll continue to help all the customers that we work with at the minute.
Fantastic. Christopher, thank you so much. Couldn't have put it better myself. Well, maybe I could.
Okay.
That's you. Winnie Winding. Guys, look, I want to invite a guy on here, John Hinnon, to talk for 10, 15 minutes. John has been around the last 2-3 recessions, John, would be fair. Yep, made, the reality is some of you guys have touched on today that you're looking at different things to either reposition yourself, reinvent yourself. John's had to do that on 2 or 3 maybe occasions, John, would that be fair? And I want us as a business group and a business community, when we're live streaming here, to actually glean off the positive energy that John has. Not only that, he's taken a lot of the knockbacks over the last 30, 40 years in business and actually used them to serve him rather than to enslave him. Because what I find, what we are going to find over this next 3-4 months, as Brian touched on there, is this. There's guys are already went to the wayside in business, and there's probably going to be a number of more. It's what we do with that knockback and build it as a foundation. It's going to actually landscape how we come out of this. And there's probably no better guy to talk from experience than John Hayden. I've known John for about 12, 14 years now. And again, he has led me out of a couple of rocky waters, and Chris and I over the business years, and we've certainly gleaned from his experience. So John, I want to invite you, John, share with us the whys and the wherefores, give us some tips, tools, and equip us how we can navigate some of the rocks and some of the choppy waters that's in front of us.
Okay. Well, I'll start off and say, somebody said this to me a long time ago, and they said, always remember that financial ruin is not death. Okay, and that always stuck in the back of my head, because sometimes I thought actually death would have been a better option, but financial ruin is not death. Quick brief story. I was in a courier business, whatever, and over the jigs and the reels, ended up in a business called Travel Distribution Services. We distributed travel brochures, and it was a beautiful little business with 100% of the market. And around about 1999, this thing called the internet came around, and within about the next 4 or 5 years, 95% of that market disappeared. So in the process of that, and I remember the first client was a guy, Richard Pickles, who was the marketing director for Brittany Ferries in Portsmouth, said to me, John, we're going to send our brochure out on a thing called a CD-ROM. So I had to ask him what exactly was a CD-ROM. So that's how long ago we're talking. And I thought about that and I said, if this thing catches on, there's going to be no brochure business. So we started to look about and think, well, what have we got? Well, we got a warehouse, a forklift, and a man. Who else would need that? And we headed down the route of doing promotional kits. So we got some work with Coke and Diageo. So if they were doing a Jack Daniels promotion, we'd have made up 50 or 100 boxes with all the promotional stuffs they needed for the night. And the rep just lifted a box and away they went. And that was that. And we started off at that. And then over, it's funny how things happen. Some of you may have heard of Robert Kiyosaki. He wrote the book Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And I'd gone on, I'd heard about it, got interested, and I went on to buy a copy of the book and a CD set. And it was about $49. And I went to shipping, and it said FedEx overnight international shipping, and it was $50. That's a box. Excuse my French. But I wanted it anyway, so anyway, I bought it. So about 8 or 9 days later, the FedEx man turned up the door and asked Lorraine for £16.73p VAT and duty. So what I thought was going to cost me $49 ended up costing me nearly 3 times that. But it gave me an idea. I started thinking, if I had got those people to send me a pallet of books and a pallet of CDs, I could have posted that for £4. So I emailed them, I phoned them, I faxed them, I wrote to them, and never heard a word. But it got the cogs and wheels sitting thinking in my head. And so what I did was I looked at where we were in Northern Ireland, and I thought I could play the Irish card, as in golf, pints of Guinness, and we could be your footstep into Europe. And we targeted North American clients or North American companies. So there was a program at the time in Invest NI called the Explorers, and you could take on a marketing graduate, have them work with you 3 months, and then send them out to your target market for 6.
John,
and that's what we did. And the interesting thing was I hadn't got a washer at the time I did this. Okay, so sometimes you just gotta.
Christopher and I just want to take.
It's a bit like somebody once said, you don't need faith for the bits you can work out. You need faith for the bits that you can't work out. And just sometimes you feel that this is the right thing to do, even though it doesn't make sense, but something's telling you it's the right thing to do. So anyway, we took on this graduate, Joanne. She worked with us for 3 months, sent her to Boston, thinking Boston, lots of Irish, will play the Irish card. And after about 3 months, we had made no progress whatsoever. It's like looking for a needle in a haystack, trying to find and getting engaged with companies.
Appreciate that.
And then what we did was we started to look at other fulfillment companies in America and try and approach them to see if they had any clients who wanted to come to Europe.
Darling.
And the interesting thing was
a couple of things I want to say.
With a particular mindset. Couple of minutes. Somebody with an abundant mindset, not a scarcity. Because what we were doing was going to somebody in business.
So obviously we're all at home.
We can serve your clients better if you give us that products, those products for Europe, and we'll ship that.
People going on.
Now they were going to lose the business, but they had the view that they were serving their client better. And it took a while. We got a few, and that's literally how the business started, and we progressed it from there. In the process that I went to a fulfillment operations convention down in Florida, and I met a guy called Chuck Lakeman, and he was involved in the fulfillment business with a company in Denver, and got to know him quite well, built a relationship with him, and he then diverted out of that and got involved in helping small businesses grow. And he wrote a book in 2009, I think it was, called Making Money is Killing Your Business.
Having an effect on you,
which is an interesting title, because I thought actually that was the purpose of the business.
If it's up 65%,
but what he was saying is that if you're focused on making money, you'll never get around to building a business that will make money when you're not there.
Or managerial
and it's a real shift in your mindset.
Are not being online as much. But it has left
I got involved with this probably
business owners, CEOs,
10 years ago now, I suppose.
Founders. These are the guys who have obviously
I started to implement some of the policies, and one of the biggest challenges for us as business owners is the tyranny of the urgent versus the priority of the important. So the urgent stuff shouts and squeals at you, the important stuff whispers. The urgent stuff keeps you on the treadmill. The important stuff, if you deal with it, will get you off it. And it's interesting that I came across this guy. It's a guy called Clay Christensen. He wrote a book called How will you measure your life?
Let's put
I
this,
suggest
the
you get it.
traffic
Actually, if you
is
go onto
not gonna
TED
be
Talks and put in
It was there maybe 3 weeks
Christensen,
ago because there's guys obviously not on
how
it.
will you measure
But
your
what
life? He
has
does about a
left is the
15-minute
guys who are
TED
making
Talk. It's
decisions.
brilliant. Now,
And these
it's
are
only
the
about,
guys, obviously,
I don't know,
this could be
I
the
only came across about
opportunity
3-4 months ago. The guy
to
died
link
then about
in,
a couple of
link
months
in
back.
or link in LinkedIn
But anyway,
with the
one of the things
LinkedIn
he talks
guys.
about in the book is a
Sorry, didn't get
strategy.
that.
He says at a basic level, a
But
strategy
there's an
is what you want
opportunity
to
there to
achieve and
go
how
for it
you will get there.
and link with the guys
And I think
on
one of
LinkedIn
the
because
most
the
important
traffic is
things,
not
I
there.
mean, with
So
all
I
the
thought that
pain
was
and the suffering
interesting.
and everything else
Christopher?
that I went through, it forced me to get clarity around what did I actually want. Because for some of us, we get into business and we build a business way beyond where it should have been because we have no goal, no end in mind. We just build and we're in business and we just keep building this thing and adding to it. And all of a sudden it consumes us. And Chuck says in the back of the book, which is very important, is use your business to live your ideal lifestyle. And very few of us take the time to figure out what's my ideal lifestyle and what is the cost of it. What do I actually need? I mean, there's something in our heads. We think we have to build something, sell it for millions, and then ride off into the sunset and life will be wonderful. And yet, in a lot of ways, it's the business that creates the passion. I mean, I don't believe we were born just to drift through. Look at what's happening today. The amount of people who were maybe thinking of retiring or thinking of doing things, sitting to realize you need to have purpose. We're born to have purpose with a destiny. And getting clarity around that. So the first thing I would suggest to people is taking the time and figuring what is it you actually want. And this is I mean, look at this. This is a blessing in disguise in a lot of ways. Viktor Frankl, in that book he wrote called Man's Search for Meaning, he says the most human part of us is that we have the freedom to choose our attitude. Now, for most of us, unfortunately, we let the media and everything else is around us to dictate our attitude to us. But we as human beings, we have the freedom to choose our attitude. And Einstein said creativity is much more important than knowledge. A lot of us are filling our heads with stuff, but it's actually, it's got to get to your heart. There's a great story about Peter Fosby. If you know the high jump, they're on it, they jump over it backwards. That's called the Fosby flop. And I think it was in the Olympics in Mexico in the 70s or something. And he was the first person to do that. And I'll cut the story short, but anyway, basically he was only ever going to be second or third. He couldn't be number one. And he went and found out all about how could you do something, and he came up with this idea. And the first time he did it, the ABC film sports person went over to him and said, "How did you do that?" And he said, "Took me quite a while to figure it out, but once I learned to throw my heart over the bar, my body followed." And I think for a lot of us, too often we're trying to do things from a head point of view and not from a heart point of view and getting involved in it. And they say the difference between a daydream and a goal is a goal needs to have an emotion wrapped around it. And it's important to make sure that the emotion you're wrapping around it is not a negative emotion, but a positive emotion. And particularly at this time, a lot of us are coming from a position of fear. But you need to remember, we are not, even if you have to reinvent yourself, you're not starting from zero. The experience, the knowledge, the context, the wisdom that you actually have now, you're starting so much further on. And so it's very important to get clarity around that. So as it says here, the strategy is what you want to achieve and how will you get there. Now, how some of us thought we were going to get there has changed because the roads disappeared for some of us, or you're not even sure if it's going to be there. But that's less important at this stage. The most important thing is just figuring out what is it you want and getting real clarity about that. And more importantly is why. Simon Sinek wrote the book, why, the purpose of why. If you have a big enough why, you'll always figure out how. And there's an interesting statistics done that the people who go to Harvard and Stanford in Connecticut, two incredible universities, Stanford is full of geniuses who know how to do things.
I think the key thing is
Harvard's full of other geniuses who have a good reason for doing it. And something like 78% of Stanford graduates end up working for Harvard graduates. Interesting concept. So you don't need to know how to do everything if you have clarity around the why. The second point this guy Clay makes about the strategy is that the only way a strategy can get implemented if we decide to resource it. Good intentions are not enough.
I
You're not
actually wished
implementing
a
the
guy
strategy that you intend if you don't spend your
congratulations the other
time, your money,
day,
and your talent in a
and
way
this is just
that
part
is
of the
consistent
strategy.
with
I
your
wish a guy
intentions.
congratulations because they all pop
So,
up and
so
all
many of us
our
have, there's an expression said, the
all our
road to hell is
feeds,
paved with good
you know,
intentions. We have
congratulate
great intentions.
whoever from
And one of our
wherever.
challenges
And
is
this
we
guy
tend
came
to
back to me
judge
straight
others
away
by
and
their
says, "Honey, you
actions,
could be the
but we
man
judge
to
ourselves by our
help us with our
intentions.
branding." And that
That
was
doesn't
one
serve you.
silly throwaway
Getting
comment,
real
and that was
clarity
just
around
down
where you
to
want to go
engagement.
and being
Let's
very
face it, guys.
intentional on
See,
what
when
you're doing.
we met
So
our
Chuck
wives or
talks in
our
his book
partners or
about how we
whatever,
get into
was
business
there
with
one
two
off
hopes and
touch,
one
or was
intention.
it were you making the effort?
We hope to make,
The
sorry,
normal
two
relate, John,
intentions and one
you're
hope.
grinning
We
there,
intend to
son.
work hard,
And
we intend to make some money, and we hope we get a nice
let's
life.
take it down this
And
route.
sure enough, you work hard, you make some money,
No,
sometimes
I
not
know.
enough, but somehow it
Hey, you
doesn't
put
all
a wee
tend
bit
to
of
work
interest
out.
into it,
So
and building
what we
any
hope for,
relationships.
we
In the
tend
digital
not to
one,
achieve,
because now
but what we're
I'm a hugger
intentional
and a
about.
kisser. Brian
So
knows
be
that, don't you, Brian?
intentional about
I'm a hugger and a
somehow
kisser.
figuring out
I love
with
to
whatever's
be out
going
and around,
around you,
having
how
coffees with
can you
different people,
use
because I'm a
that to
very
serve you
relational
to go
person.
forward?
And
So
the
look at the
thing is for
resources
me
that you have,
was
because
that
at the
I'm
end of the
saying
day,
bridge that
you know,
gap
for most
between
of us in our small
the
businesses, we're the
digital
most
and the
valuable
physical.
resource in our
Now, I'm
business.
only left with the
And
digital
I
at the
think,
minute,
Martin,
but
you'd
you
know
have to
this.
work
I mean,
that
as a
muscle.
company director,
And you have to put
your
the effort, the time, and
duty is
you
to
know,
use the
let's face
resources
it,
of a
guys. We
business
bought the
to get the
flowers,
maximum
you know,
return for
for
the
our wives. We
shareholders.
bought all the little drinks,
For most of
trinkets,
us, if
and
we
little
look
prizes and
at how
little
good we're doing that, we
gifts
should
and
be
stuff like that. We stopped that after a
fired
number of years because we
because
got
we're
the
not
rumble.
looking after the shareholders
And
in the way we're not using the resources of the business. And I think this is an incredible time to back up and look at what you have been doing and sit and see, you know,
hey,
is
listen,
what I've been doing the highest and best use of my time?
I
Is the resource that I have,
my
should it
wife
be
wouldn't thank you
time,
for flowers.
money,
I
buildings,
supposed to be in
machinery,
Spain last
whatever?
week. You know what I mean?
Brian, I was
I
just
take it
speaking
a
with
wee
somebody
notch.
earlier on. They were
Or,
saying
you know
about
what I
a
mean?
signage company up in
Listen,
Derry has shifted from making signs to making the mask for the NHS, you know, the clear perspex thing.
and you're sitting there
So, I mean, there's lots going on. I was speaking to another
with
guy.
woman's glasses
He has
on.
a pizza
Look, it's
carry out
handy.
somewhere in Belfast here. So he did a podcast on Facebook or something, how to make pizzas at home. And he did a little pizza kit, a couple of dough balls, a bit of tomato
Guys, what we're
sauce,
going
and
to
salami,
do,
whatever.
as I
Sold
said
them for
earlier on, we're
14 or
going
15
to
quid.
do the breakout groups. Going to do
He made up
one-on-one.
250 of them. He had
The key thing is if
1,600
you've got a
requests from
bottleneck
him.
in your world at
So
the minute
looking
that
sometimes and seeing
you want to
what have you
share,
got,
or if
and
there's
somebody
something
had
else
mentioned
in
earlier on about thinking
your lot
outside
at
the
the minute you
box.
want to share for 2.5
And for a
minutes,
lot of us, it's great, Henry, you're
talk
going to do
about
the
it,
one-to-ones, because for a lot of
and
us,
get it off
we
your
need the
chest, and
outside
maybe bring it
eyes
back into the group. If you've got a
just
bottleneck, we can
to
maybe
help us ask a
discuss
better
it at a
question.
wider level.
I mean, I grew up in
But take
West
the
Belfast
5
during the
minutes
Troubles. My
now,
dad always
even
insisted we brought our
take 2
friends home.
minutes each, and take 30 seconds to share
Maybe
some
thought
thoughts
my dad was dead
on
on,
what
but
the
every now and
guy
again he would
has
say,
said.
"Don't be
Look, you
bringing
might
Joe
have the
back."
answer, the
I
probabilities
said,
you
"Daddy,
won't
Joe's
have
dead
the
on." He said,
answer,
"Don't you be bringing
but
Joe
a
back. The more
problem
the point, don't
shared
you be
is a
hanging about with
problem
Joe."
halved. At least
And
it's
6
out
months
there,
later, Joe was
and at
dead or
least
in
we could
long
maybe
cash.
put some
But the point he was making is,
flesh
son, show me the
under the
books you're
bones.
reading and the
Does that make
company you're
sense?
keeping, and I'll tell you where you'll be in 5 years. And that is so important for us now. You know, the company you're keeping, and I mean, as adults, some of the company we're keeping in our own heads, we need to change that. I met an old guy long ago, Wally Minto, and he said, "John, learn to live life at a conscious level." I didn't know what he meant. He said, "What's that mean?" He says, "Think about what you think about. Are the thoughts you're thinking serving you? Are they moving you in the direction that you want to go?" And you need, it's like a muscle. You have to develop a muscle around thinking and living consciously, as opposed to just going through the motions and allowing everything goes on and just reacting to it. And it's very important to learn how to respond as opposed to react. Reacting is an emotional response. Responding is a learnt behavior. So some of us maybe need to look and see, are we reacting or are we responding? We need to change some of this. I met a guy I went to school with years ago, and on a plane, this is a long ago, it is in the British Airways shuttle from Belfast to Heathrow. And he was built, like he used to be a wee scrawny fella, and he was built like Brian Barrett. And I said, Sean, what happened to you? He says, I joined the Navy, and then he became a Navy SEAL. And he was telling me part of the training is they actually tried to drown you multiple times. They have 4 and 5 people trying to drown you. They've always wanted to look after you, but they physically try to drown you. And he says the reason for that is that whenever you're in combat and you come across the enemy and they're trying to drown you, they're trying to teach you how to respond, not to react emotionally because you will drown, but they were teaching them how to respond in that situation so that they wouldn't drown and they could fight their way out. And so we need to see this, whilst it feels like a storm or it feels like I'm drowning, we need to start to learn. I need to respond to this so that it serves me and I don't serve that. Is that enough, Henry? Henry.
Thank you so much. Some fantastic guys. I hope you online and offline, have got something from that. Christopher and I just want to take a couple of minutes.
Sorry, there's just a few comments that had come in while you were speaking there, John. So a few people said hi.
Very nice.
No better time to figure that out while you were speaking. Simon Fletcher made a great point on resourcing and utilizing resources, especially the talents of staff. And Maria had mentioned you absolutely need outside eyes on your business. So it's definitely got people engaged in what you were saying. Maria also says, hi, Henry.
Who said that?
Maria McNeil.
Oh, tell her hi.
She can hear you. You're live.
Hey, Maria, hi, my darling. A couple of things I want to say. I'm going to just want to take a couple of minutes. The internet usage is up 65%. So obviously we're all at home and everything has went up through the ceiling in regards to people going online, searching, and the reality is that the interesting thing out of this that LinkedIn has actually went down 15% on usage over this last 2-3 weeks. The interesting thing for me is because I went and had a look at this, and I'm asking myself the reason why, because we are obviously big fans of LinkedIn and it's transformed our business. The reality is that there's people that are on furlough now. So a lot of the staff have obviously now been told either work from home or don't work at all. So I can see obviously the furlough side of stuff having an effect on the usage. But the key thing for me in that is this: if it's up 65% online, obviously some of the other platforms are up. The guys who are staff members or managerial levels or whatever, obviously are not being online as much. But it has left actual business owners, CEOs, founders. These are the guys who have obviously built their businesses on the platform. So in many ways, it's an opportunity for some of you guys who are on LinkedIn to be a lot more visible, to get more content out. You need to put a plan towards it. Putting 1-2 posts up every so often does not work. You need to have a strategy where you're posting up Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or if your market is a weekend market, you need to get it up on the weekend. Let's put this, the traffic is not going to be there that was there maybe 3 weeks ago because there's guys obviously not on it. But what has left is the guys who are making decisions. Yeah. And these are the guys obviously, this could be the opportunity for you to link in. Did I get there? Link in with the LinkedIn guys. Sorry, I didn't get that. But there's an opportunity there to go for it and link with the guys on LinkedIn because the traffic is not there.
Yep.
So I thought that was interesting. Christopher?
Yeah, just off the back of that, like this last week, we, in fact, Brian, probably that's an interesting thing for you, is that we had Sam from SignLink contact us, and it said, like, I want to try and do anything at the minute. He's like yourself, that his machines have stopped, so he's unable to do that. And it made these small balloons, which are sticking up on like vans and windows and things like that. So we put it on the website thinking it'll take away in the background. We'll give them a couple of orders. And between, I'm not sure how many days ago, it was last week, and now he's shifted 1,000 orders over the website, which is fantastic. So these balloons are like maybe £5 each or £10 each. And it's finding a way to get your company that's visible in this time is just so important, and doing whatever you can. So like pivoting in some way, Brian, you're probably looking at how you're going to pivot your business at the minute for the next maybe 6 or 8 weeks or 10 weeks or whatever it's going to be. And it's finding those niches and being creative. So the most important thing that you can do for your business right now is be innovative and be creative and be present and be consistent while you're doing it. So consistency is king. I watched actually a friend of ours who sells these Rolex watches, and he put a thing on his Instagram there today. He said, look, I've been completely offline for the last 3 weeks because I didn't have the courage and I didn't have the heart to go and tell people about these fancy Rolex watches because it's a luxury item. People are dying. And he thought, right, so I'll just stop my business. And like that's probably, it's an admirable thing to do, is to maybe look at the human cost of it, but it's the actual physical cost on your business. That if you go silent over this time, it's going to have a dramatic effect on your business, and you can drop off the face of the earth. And the other competition that's out there right now could be doing something different, or they could be pivoting or doing some sort of innovative way to reach out to the customers that you were reaching to. So it's not a fear thing, and it's not like stop or be online and be all things to all men at all times, because if you don't, your competition's going to take things away on you. But it's like a time that you can really leverage the power of the internet for your business. You don't have to spend a lot of money. You can just spend your own physical time to go and do things for free. So engagement is probably the most valuable thing that you can do for social media. And that's like commenting on other people's posts, sending private messages, and being interactive. So it's not just posting something and walking off, like throw a bomb into a shop and run. You have to spend the physical time interacting with people, and that's what fuels your algorithm basically for any social media. So for me, like, now is the best time for you to spend time investing in your business and investing in reaching out to people. And I found such a really special time for business owners. And coming on the back of what Henry was saying is that LinkedIn has dropped in its engagement rates, and that's because all the kind of the staff members and things like that have disappeared, but the business owners are there. And if you want to reach out to other businesses and do B2B work, which is probably what the majority of us in this room are, is B2B, LinkedIn is going to be the best place to be spending your time and your effort on at the moment. And then the likes of Instagram and Facebook, that's where kind of people are going to at the minute for entertainment. So entertaining people on those platforms with an agenda for your business and the strategy behind that will massively help your company over this time. So that's my 2 minutes worth.
I think the key thing is the engagement, because build quality digital relationships till the physical ones come into fruition. And I actually was doing a wee bit of coaching with a guy who works for Sky Television earlier a few weeks back, and then he was on with me today, and he was just posting up random posts on behalf of Sky Television. And I said, but you're not engaging. And he started to engage, and he started to see traction. I actually wished a guy congratulations the other day, and this is just part of the strategy. We said, guy, congratulations, because they all pop up on all our feeds. You know, congratulate whoever from wherever. And this guy came back to me straight away, and he says, "Henry, you could be the man to help us with our branding." And that was one silly throwaway comment, and that was just down to engagement. Let's face it, guys. See, when we met our wives or our partners or whatever, was it a one-off touch, or were you making the effort? Normal relation, John, you're grinning there, son.
It was just one done.
Let's take it down this route.
I don't want to talk about that night.
No, I know. But you put a wee bit of interest into it, and building any relationships. And the digital one, because now I'm a hugger and a kisser. Brian knows that, don't you, Brian? I'm a hugger and a kisser. I love to be out and around having coffees with different people, because I'm a very relational person. And the thing is, for me, was that I'm saying to bridge that gap between the digital and the physical. Now, I'm only left with the digital at the minute, but you have to work that muscle. And you have to put the effort, the time, and, you know, let's face it, guys, we bought the flowers, you know, for our wives. We bought all the little trinkets and little prizes and our little gifts and stuff like that. We stopped that after a number of years because we got the woman. And
Henry, hold on a second. I haven't stopped buying my wife flowers or anything. Have you?
Who?
You're doing this wrong. You are doing this wrong, Henry.
Hey, listen.
Henry, I would change horses.
I could show you flowers downstairs now.
My wife wouldn't thank you for flowers. I was supposed to be in Spain last week. You know what I mean? I take it up a wee notch, Aaron. You know what I mean? Listen.
But I seen sense. I knew what was going on. So, you know, flowers.
And you're
Come on, Henry, get with the groove. Get with the groove.
And you're sitting there with woman's glasses on. Look at what's happened to you.
Because we share everything. We still do this 13, 14 years on, Henry. We share, we adapt, we canoodle.
Guys, what we're going to do, as I said earlier on, we're going to do the breakout groups, going to do one-on-one. The key thing is, if you've got a bottleneck in your world at the minute that you want to share, or if there's something else in your locker at the minute you want to share for 2.5 minutes, talk about it. and get it off your chest, and maybe bring it back into the group. If you've got a bottleneck, we can maybe discuss it at a wider level. But take the 5 minutes now, even take 2 minutes each, and take 30 seconds to share some thoughts on what the guy has said. Look, you might have the answer. The probability is you won't have the answer, but a problem shared is a problem halved. At least it's out there, and at least we could maybe put some flesh under the bones. Does that make sense? What I wanted to finish up was that obviously with John's talk and some of the things that was discussed, have any of us got a takeaway that you could maybe share what you're going to take away and say you're going to implement it, or you're going to work at it, or it's been you've had a blinding flash of the obvious where I need to actually implement something, or have you been challenged in a different area that maybe has shot off in your mind because of what someone else has said?
I've stacks of notes. I've 4 pages in my notebook filled in here, but one thing that I've underlined 4 times is to get my social media person back in. So I ran all of my own social media channels, and there's about 13 of them all together, you know, several YouTube, several Instagram, several Facebooks, and I finally delegated that to an employee about 3 months ago and furloughed them. And I know I hear the laugh and I'm thinking to myself, right, that needs sorted today, you know?
Yeah.
So, I mean, if internet usage is up 65%, and I'm not just B2B, I'm actually marketing and engaging with kids, then I need to reinforce the message on a different platform to their parent whilst trying to up my professional game to other businesses who might want to potentially link in with me in future. So I'm using Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. So I need to get Susie back in today, and I would appreciate a quick chat with Henry or Chris at the end of this, just to help me get my head around planning some content. You know, I'm trying to do as much personal development and self-care right now as well. So I'll admit, in myself, I'm feeling better. I'm not running out of the house first thing in the morning. I actually am getting up a little bit earlier, and I'm doing more exercise than I have been. But I still need to implement a lot of stuff for the business, you know, which unfortunately, any of the plans that I made prior to COVID-19 they're not going to happen for me right now. I wanted to employ 2 new staff instantly and delegate 70% of my working week to them to allow me to work on new projects. That finance is now not there, and I don't know when those people will come back into the mix, and that's a head scratcher. That's kind of knocked me for 6, to be quite honest with you. So I'm ever so slightly lost. I have a million things I think I could work on. I just would appreciate a wee bit of clarity and direction as to what I should probably spend the majority of my effort on in the next couple of weeks.
Matthew, what we'll do
definitely seems like social.
What we'll do is we'll arrange a 3-way Zoom call, 4-way, sorry, with me, you, Chris, and Connor. The guys are from Smarts, they'll impart to you and how to increase the engagement. And at least at that point, I'll give you a couple of legs to run on. And then between us, we can measure the progress and the engagement.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
I would just say what Chris was saying there was very, very true. I haven't spoken to Chris about this, but the reach now on LinkedIn is that even yesterday, I had a director of a company, an insurance company, a large insurance company, come to me, and are going to come with us. When I sort of thought, goodness, I wouldn't think any new business would really be coming. And it's just what Chris is saying. There's the decision makers now are on LinkedIn. And even while I've been on this call, in fact, when I was on my call with Henry, as Henry will clarify, I had another decision maker come to me as well. So the decision makers on LinkedIn are there now, and that's your audience. And if you're not using it, you need to.
It's cutting through all the noise.
Yeah. Some of the other activities away, so you've got a free run at the main guys. Anyone else? Any takeaways before we jump off?
Henry, I have, Graham. Obviously, you and I have been speaking numerous times that definitely want to push this LinkedIn. There is certainly parts of my business that we can grow the online side, where I have an online order system for estate agencies to order their for sale boards, but we could be pushing other products on that. And funny, when this all happened, I originally said to my IT guys, look, put this on hold to see how things are going. But 2 weeks ago, I phoned them and said, no, push on here because we need to do the online thing because that's where we're going to be for the next load of months. So, yes, I have a couple of things and I'll speak to you offline, you and Chris, about having a look at that, you know.
Yeah, no worries, mate.
Is
Anyone else?
Barrett Signs in Bangor, is it?
No, we're Belfast.
Belfast.
But I have seen you in Bangor.
Oh, wow, we would cover it all over Northern Ireland. Yep.
No, I have. I think it's a blue van, is it?
Yes, that's us.
Yeah. You could be going mad on LinkedIn. I mean, you could just be going,
Yeah.
signage companies could just be flying.
Yeah.
It's all business to business.
Yeah.
Big opportunity. Yeah, big opportunity in LinkedIn.
But that's not opportunity. So maybe get a campaign going and speak to Henry and Chris, you know.
Okay. Anything else, guys? What have you, a takeaway, a nugget that's going to make it happen?
I think, Henry, if I could just say, I've found these very, very useful. And I've been on a couple of different groups now, this Bismarck and a few other ones. I think the important thing is that you can't have too many of these because your circle, Henry, would be different from mine, which would be different again from Matthew's, which would be different from Brian's. And one of the suggestions I would have, and one of the things I'm going to try and do more of as well, is as well as participating in your groups, which are great, and have the Henry McCrory and Christopher McClanagan flavour to them, I'm going to try and do more of these myself as well, which would then have my flavour. And then if there's, I would love to see people like Matthew and Brian and Darren and Aaron doing these and me joining theirs, because each of us have a different perspective on the world. Even if we're all the same mindset, we have a different perspective. And the more you get to benefit from a different person's perspective, the more it enriches whatever knowledge or insights you have. So I think that's what I'd take away from this.
Brilliant. Marty, thank you. Anyone else?
I just want to say to Martin, because I know, Matthew, because I know everyone's saying about B2B and how great it is. But you need to remember there's kids inside dying to get out. And now's the best time to be building that hype. I'm sure they can't wait for the park to be open again. You're an entertainer, you have an events section to your business, which there's going to be all these eyes on Facebook waiting to see this. They mightn't even know it's on their own front doorstep. So I think it's a good decision to bring the social people back in.
And you know what I really want to do, and I've never done in all the years of me running my own events companies and indoor venues. I've never sat down and strategically spent good money targeting people and driving business through paid advertising. And I think that's where we're missing the trick, because what I'm learning, or what I think I know, is that organic engagement is now down to less than 3%, which is, it feels like a waste of my time to try and make creative content for such a small market where I can spend a small amount of money with great content that I already have and reach masses. And I really want to do that now, but I'm just unwilling to make that jump myself without the knowledge as to how to do it effectively, you know.
Okay, we'll get on that. Anyone else? A few thoughts before, what takeaways, nuggets?
Henry, I'd mentioned last week if guys would send me their address, if any of you wanted a copy of Chuck's book, but I need your physical address because it's a physical book. So if you give your physical address that I can post it to Henry, I'll get them off to you.
Yeah,
I love that, John.
Christopher and I have both read that book.
Yeah, that's good.
It challenges your core values, and it'll certainly align your work with your big why, and you can certainly take the steps towards your big why. Anyone else before we pop off? Thank you, John.
I did like, I was with John there, and John had said to me, it's not about selling, it's about serving. And I thought he was right in what he's saying, because obviously we're trying to look after a lot of our customers in terms of healthcare, education, etc. at the minute, and with our home working solution. And I think even with our approach, and I think John hit the nail on the head for me when I was thinking about it, because I was thinking it's almost a bit awkward to sell at the minute. People don't want to be sort of hearing people trying to bum and blow about their products and services. So it's how you can actually maybe help people. And I think that's what I'm sort of taking from my chat with John, is what can we do as a business simplicity group to continue to help our customers and continue to help other sectors that maybe need different solutions to help their business. So that's the sort of, I think the word serve that John said to me really did struck a chord there.
Brilliant. Anyone else before we pop off? Darren, Greggy?
I must run.
Yeah, okay.
All right.
Right, have a good weekend,
household
everybody.
barbecue to go to
Guys,
here.
look, just in passing, look, we'll pop out the invite for next Friday again, 4 bells. You're more than welcome. I'm going to mix it up. There's a couple of ladies coming to be involved. They haven't sort of come on board yet, but there definitely will be next week. So it's not an all-male panel. So guys, really appreciate the time. Kiss all your wives from me.
My wife says
I will try to
shot the poison.
Heard that?
Guys, look, love yous and leave yous. Have an absolute wonderful weekend.
Okay, guys.
Take care, boys.